To prove that technology is more powerful than magic, I took out an intercontinental ballistic missile, the Dongfeng 41, only to be mocked as a pile of scrap metal. It's hilarious. Did you pick that up from a dumpster? It's just a heap of junk. However, they had no idea that the power of the missile before them was 10 times that of a forbidden spell, simply because this is a world where technology-based classes are 0. People can only gain great power by changing their class, and at this moment, I am standing at the class change altar. Following a brilliant flash of light, a string of text appeared on the altar, and I gazed at the information displayed. I slowly walked down from the altar, looking at the skills on my class panel, a ripple of emotion stirring in my heart. Active skill, military industrial factory, with multiple factories located within my personal space. The military factory can summon regular soldiers equipped with AK-47 assault rifles, summoning 1 soldier every hour. Passive skill, Lord of Military Industry. As the Lord of Military Industry, all damage I receive will be borne by my military creations. Looking at my current class, having experienced the military-industrial era in my past life, I naturally knew what a terrifying power this was. How much time do those top-tier professionals need to recover after casting a single forbidden spell? As long as I have enough missiles, I can achieve 0 cooldown. Thinking of the scene where Dongfeng missiles wash over various secret realms, my heart couldn't help but surge with excitement. After the freshman class change ceremony ended, various recruitment calls echoed across the plaza. Standing before me was also the leader of a squad, but, unlike those recruiting members, this woman was there to cancel a contract. Mr. Lin Fan, I am here to cancel the contract. Student Lin Fan, the class you awakened is simply too poor. I'm sorry. We cannot fulfill the A-rank contract we offered earlier, but we can provide you with an F-rank contract instead. Listening to the female lead, a mocking smile appeared on the corner of my mouth. Forget the F-rank class contract. Since you want to break the agreement, just pay me the compensation. Compensation is fine, but you have to be able to use it. The magic power fluctuation you just detected is 0. No team will be willing to look after you. Hearing the woman's words, my expression remained unchanged. You don't need to worry about that. I just want the silver-grade equipment we previously agreed upon. Seeing my attitude, she suppressed the anger in her heart, and the female lead could only snort. I'll go back and discuss it with the higher-ups. She turned and walked out into the crowd. I returned home on my own, and my consciousness sank into my mind, seeing that in the space of my consciousness, a mechanical factory slowly rose. As my consciousness stirred, a halo resembling a portal appeared on the ground. A soldier holding a steel rifle slowly appeared before me. I couldn't wait to check the soldier's stats. Looking at the soldier's attributes, not only was the base health of my soldiers high, but they also had a rate of fire of up to 600 rounds per minute. What kind of concept is that? The health of ordinary monsters in the novice trial is generally between 200 and 500. With 10 soldiers firing for just 1 minute, even elite monsters with thicker health would have to go down. What if there were 100 soldiers? Elite monsters wouldn't even last 10 seconds in front of me. The key is that I can summon 24 such soldiers a day. I was satisfied and dismissed the soldier, waiting for tomorrow's novice trial. Just as I was thinking this, my communicator popped up a message. The caller was none other than my girlfriend, Lu Jia. After the call connected, Lu Jia was silent for a moment. After a few seconds, she asked in a low voice, "Are you okay?" I replied in a calm tone, "I'm fine. Why? Did the people from the team ask you to find me?" Previously, in order to recruit Lu Jia, the Violet Squad had also given her a C-rank class contract. It's not just that. I wanted to show some concern. I had no intention of wasting words. "Alright, what does Nan Qian mean? Just tell me directly." Nan Qian was the person in charge who had previously tried to recruit me. Lu Jia clearly did not expect me to speak so bluntly, so the girl asked in a low voice. Sister Qian said she is willing to give you 3 black iron sets, which have bonuses to agility, life and strength. For you, it will be better than the original compensation. I sneered upon hearing this. Tell her, for 1 piece of silver-grade equipment, there is nothing to negotiate. I was about to hang up but remembered something. Also, let's break up. After saying that, I hung up the phone. Looking at the call request that had been cut off, Lu Jia's face turned pale. Lin Fan actually hung up on me? How incredible. At this moment, a woman walked in from outside the room. It was the leader, Nan Qian. How about it, Lu Jia? Did Lin Fan agree? Lu Jia set aside her many thoughts and forced a smile as she relayed what had just been said to the woman. Nan Qian listened to Lu Jia's words, so angry that her face turned red. So Nan Qian immediately dialed the team leader. Listening to Nan Qian, the man on the other end of the line sneered, "Just give her a piece of equipment focused on spirit attributes. The leader of Violet naturally had no good intentions, simply thinking that I wouldn't be able to join a group and would have to farm monsters alone. Giving me equipment with life or recovery attributes would actually make it easier for me to survive. Nan Xian naturally understood the captain's meaning, so she chose a staff with spirit attributes and sent it to me via email. At the same time, hearing the mailbox notification, I checked it impatiently, reached out and tapped the system, and suddenly the space in front of me distorted, and a silver staff floated out of thin air. I reached out and took the staff, feeling the cold touch in my hand, and couldn't wait to look at the staff's attributes. A look of surprise appeared on my face. It was actually a mental-type equipment, which is quite rare. After a brief moment of thought, I understood the intentions of the Violet team's leadership. Looking at the staff in my hand, a faint smile surfaced on my face. They wanted to give me a piece of equipment they thought I couldn't use, but this time, some people were going to be disappointed. Equipping this silver staff would allow my soldiers to directly gain a 30% health bonus. The next day, outside the freshman dungeon, it was already a sea of people. Just then, a message popped up in my private channel. Have you joined a party? Do you want to join my team? I glanced at the channel, my expression showing some surprise. The person speaking was Wu Jing, a former classmate of mine who had been quite obscure back in class. I shook my head with a smile and replied, "No thanks." As the time reached 9 o'clock, a man slowly floated into the air. In an instant, a burst of light erupted beneath his feet, and as the light faded, I opened my eyes to find myself in an endless forest. I took out the staff I had just acquired and equipped it, then proceeded to summon my soldiers. As the teleportation light appeared before me, 25 soldiers armed with steel rifles stood in front of me. After equipping the staff I had just received, my mental strength reached a terrifying 80 points, and each soldier's health was boosted to 105 points. With this much health in the Blood Moon Forest, unless they encountered elite monsters, it would be impossible for them to be killed. Suddenly, I noticed an extra message in my mailbox. After I clicked on the icon, a leather armor floated out of thin air in front of me. Defensive armor, quality, black iron, initial attribute bonus. Health plus 10, constitution plus 2. Looking at the equipment hovering before me, I felt a bit helpless. This was likely the only piece of protective gear Wu Jing had. It must have been part of the black iron set provided by her team. I thought about returning it, but I found that Wu Jing had blocked my messages. I shook my head and decided to equip the leather armor anyway. Not dwelling on it further, I walked directly into the dense forest ahead. Suddenly, a few level 1 wild rabbits charged at me, and the soldiers in front of me pulled their triggers without hesitation. With a spray of bullets, those rabbits were instantly turned into sieves. Killed level 1 wild rabbit. Acquired experience plus 1. A faint smile appeared on my face as I looked at the 5 experience points I had gained. I didn't waste any time. I kept 2 soldiers by my side and sent the rest out. For a while, the sound of gunfire echoed incessantly through the forest. I barely saw any monsters myself. All I could hear were the constant notifications from the system. A flash of light shone on me. I had already reached level 2. I checked my updated attribute panel. Not only had each attribute increased by 5 points, but the skill Soldier Factory had also leveled up to 2, shortening the summon time by 5 minutes. Looking at my current leveling speed, I smiled. I picked up my pace and continued deeper into the forest. I wanted to look around and see if I could encounter any mutated monsters. These ordinary monsters only provided experience, and it was impossible for them to drop gear or other items. Outside the Blood Moon Forest dungeon, inside a team hall, representatives of various teams were gathered together. One of them asked, "Didn't you join the Secret Realm team? Why are you back recruiting freshmen? Don't even ask. Last time we entered the Despair Castle Secret Realm, a Lord-level monster unexpectedly spawned inside. It almost trapped our entire squad. The Secret Realm team was wiped out, so the captain sent me back to be in charge of recruiting. Speaking of which, the standard of this year's freshmen is quite good. Aside from the 23 B-class professions, there are indeed 3 more than the last batch, but it's a pity there isn't a single A-class profession. Didn't they say someone from the 3rd middle school had the highest mental strength in the entire school? Did they not awaken an A-class profession?" Upon mentioning this, the representative who didn't get along well with the Violet team laughed. Hearing the surrounding mockery, Nan Xian was not one to swallow such insults. "Let me disappoint you all. Our team has already terminated our contract with that person." The dungeon had been open for nearly an hour, and the freshman rankings were about to be revealed. Hearing that the rankings were about to be unveiled, everyone stopped chatting and turned their eyes toward the screen in front of them. I wonder who will be number 1 on this year's freshman rankings? I bet it's Su Yun from the Heavenly Spirit team. That girl awakened Fire elementalist, which is a B-class profession. With the specialized team the Heavenly Spirit team provided for her, her farming efficiency must be the highest. I think the Snow Wolf team will take the top spot. The screen, which had been dark, began to display information, and they focused their attention as the top 100 began to refresh. 76th place, Professionist. Lu Jia, 34th place, Professionist, Wu Jing. Seeing Lu Jia's name on the screen, a rare smile appeared on Nan Qian's face. 3rd place, Professionist, Lin Fan, level 3. As the rankings climbed, the large plaza went strangely silent. In the hall where the team representatives were, everyone looked at the name with slightly surprised expressions. Everyone looked quite shocked. 2nd place, Professionist, Su Yun, level 3. Seeing the updated name, everyone was astonished. For a moment, everyone held their breath as they looked at the screen, and the final name slowly refreshed on the list. 1st place, Professionist, Lin Fan, level 5. Seeing the information on the screen, Nan Qian's pupils dilated, and the crowd erupted into an uproar. Inside the team hall, the representatives of each team, looking at Lin Fan's name on the leaderboard, everyone went wild. Nan Qian stood there, completely dazed, staring fixedly at the name on the list and observing the stunned Nan Qian. The heads of competing teams nearby, one after another, began to gloat. How about it? Doesn't taste very good, does it? At this moment, I am trekking through the forest. An hour has passed, and my number of soldiers has now reached 26. Following the slaughter by my squad of soldiers, system prompts keep ringing in my ears. Just as I continue to head deeper into the forest, the system suddenly issues a notification. You have discovered the mutant monster, King of the Nether Bats. A hint of surprise flashes across my face. I quickly pinpoint the location of the mutant monster and directly mobilize all my soldiers to surround it. I see this giant bat, hanging upside down on a tree branch, surrounded by about 20 ordinary nether bats. Looking at the charcoal purple giant bat not far away, its attributes instantly appear on the system interface. Looking at the attribute panel of the King of the Nether Bats before me, you click your tongue in secret. 20 strength means that every basic attack it lands can deal 20 points of health damage. If low-level class holders aren't wearing HP-boosting gear, a single swipe from it would mean instant death. Suddenly, the bat hanging from the dead wood seems to have sensed something. I don't waste any time and immediately command my soldiers to launch an attack. All the soldiers fire almost simultaneously, and dense damage numbers begin to pop up on its body. Seeing its territory invaded, the King of the Nether Bats lets out a shrill shriek. Not only does it affect the ears, but all surrounding soldiers lose 10 HP. Now that I have reached level 5, the HP of each soldier under my command has reached 125, so it barely feels like a scratch. The ordinary bats around the King of the Nether Bats aren't as lucky. After hundreds of bullets are fired, their bodies are riddled like sieves, falling to the ground. Dense system prompts ring in my ears. Killed level 6 Nether Bat, gained 10 experience points. Seeing its minions being killed, a charcoal purple figure flashes by, and a blood-red number, 40, floats up from that soldier. The other soldiers remain unmoved, continuously pulling their triggers. Dense damage numbers immediately appear on the King of the Nether Bats. With 3,500 HP, the King of the Nether Bats health drops frantically. Under the concentrated fire of 26 soldiers, the King of the Nether Bats only has time to let out a mournful cry before its body drops to the ground, dissipating into a shower of light. Killed level 7 King of the Nether Bats, gained 100 experience points. Looking at the dozen or so gold coins floating on the ground, as well as a black glow and a cyan glow, I walk forward, pick up the gold coins and equipment into my bag, and then can't wait to check the attributes of the gear. Looking at the 2 pieces of equipment dropped by the King of the Nether Bats, cannot hide my smile. First is the Ring of the Nether, which directly adds 10 points to the spirit attribute. The boots of swiftness are considered top tier among bronze equipment, as agility is a relatively rare attribute. I don't hesitate to equip both items. With my gear properly equipped, I cautiously continue to step deeper. An hour passes. Under the dense firepower of the soldiers, monsters couldn't even get close. Before being riddled with bullets, you have already reached level 9, and the fact that no silver equipment has dropped yet makes you feel a bit depressed. Just at this moment, a crisp notification sound rings out. You have discovered the elite monster, Wilderness Moon Wolf. I am slightly stunned for a moment, and then a hint of surprise flashes on my face. An elite monster. Elite level monsters drop at least 3 pieces of equipment. Thinking of this, I quickly summoned back all the soldiers I had sent out, and they all converged toward the point indicated by the system. It is by the side of a pond with a diameter of several hundred meters, surrounded by more than 20 wild wolves. On a giant rock by the pond, a 4-meter-long giant wolf lies in wait. Looking at the attributes of the wilderness moon wolf, you secretly exclaim, "This is not something a normal novice could contend with. It's just a pity it ran into me." A smile appears on my face as I command my soldiers to aim at a wild wolf. The suddenly erupting dense gunfire startles the wilderness moon wolf out of its slumber. The wild wolf pack now discovers the enemy in the distance and, roaring one after another, charges toward the soldier team. But while still on the path of their charge, they fall down whimpering one by one. Seeing this, the wilderness moon wolf lets out a howl, but its pack is already nearly wiped out, and its howl has absolutely no effect. The wilderness moon wolf looks at the enemies that killed its subordinates, a look of fury flashing in its eyes, and its 4-meter body charges forward. Yet I am not in the least bit flustered. The wilderness moon wolf can't hurt me anyway. Although the wilderness moon wolf has as much as 2,000 HP, it cannot withstand the continuous shooting of over 40 steel rifles. Its health bar drops at a speed visible to the naked eye. The wilderness moon wolf consecutively activates Bloodthirst twice, directly taking the lives of 6 ordinary soldiers. Accompanied by the frantic sweeping fire of 40 soldiers, the wilderness moon wolf lets out a howl of reluctance, collapses to the ground with a thud, and dissipates into a shower of light. Right there, dozens of gold coins emerge, along with a cyan glow, a white glow, and a golden glow, accompanied by the system sound ringing in my mind. A light flashes over your body. You have reached level 10. At this moment, I don't care about the leveling up at all, as all my attention is fixed on that golden glow. It dropped gold tier equipment. A 0.1% probability happened to me. With this thought crossing my mind, I step forward to collect all the equipment and gold coins. Looking at the 3 pieces of equipment in my pack. With this thought crossing my mind, I step forward to collect all the equipment and gold coins. Looking at the 3 pieces of equipment in my pack. A smile appeared on my face. All 3 items were top-tier gear, starting with the Ring of Protection. That passive protection skill was crucial. Upon taking fatal damage, it creates a shield with 50 health points. Lasting for 1 minute, the Realm of Reverberation deals double psychic damage to up to 3 targets. The most critical part is the gold-grade equipment that follows, which adds a full 60 points to psychic power. It allows the attacks of my summoned units to have a stun effect, which is absolutely game-breaking for me. I equipped the wolf pack staff and ordered my soldiers to go find a wild monster. I began testing it out, watching as the monster was stunned several times within 40 seconds. A smile played on my lips as I checked the time with the new staff equipped, seeing that the dungeon was already in the countdown phase. I recalled all my soldiers and stood silently in place, waiting to be teleported out of the dungeon square. All the freshmen were teleported out, and a smile appeared on the face of a high-level professional standing on the high platform. Good. This year's batch is even more outstanding than I imagined. Everyone is out now. I will now begin announcing the trial rankings. Following the man's voice, a virtual screen appeared in the air. Names slowly began to emerge. For a moment, all the freshmen looked at the names, including Lujia and her teammates on the other side of the crowd. They whispered to each other while calmly observing me not far away, noticing that I didn't seem to have any injuries. He must have just been on the periphery farming those level 1 monsters, Lujia thought, shaking her head unconsciously. Just then, the rankings refreshed again. 64th place, Professional Lujia, level 4. She looked at her ranking above. The high-profile girl showed a smile on her lips. 33rd place. Mu Ning, level 5. The young girl just smiled with a blushing face as she watched the rankings scroll downwards. Everyone held their breath. The long-awaited moment arrived. 3rd place, Professional Ning Man, level 6. Seeing the new ranking, many freshmen in the field gasped. He already reached level 6? A proud youth in the crowd looked at his ranking, his brow furrowed, clearly dissatisfied. 2nd place, Professional Su Yun, level 6. Looking at the name above, many freshmen whispered among themselves. I thought Ning Man or Su Yun would be first. Could someone have higher experience than them? Before they could think more, the screen above slowly displayed the information for the top spot. 1st place, Professional Lin Fan, level 10. Looking at the name at the top of the list, the entire square fell silent instantly. Regardless of how shocked the freshmen below were, the floating examiner spoke slowly. I will come to Tianling City in 3 days to pick you up. Hearing the noise around me, I was about to walk out of the square when I was blocked by a woman. Nan Qian came before me, gritted her teeth, and she knelt down right there. Looking at Nan Qian kneeling before me, a trace of sarcasm appeared on my calm face. No need. In a blink, I stepped out of the crowd, and two people approached me head-on. I looked a bit helpless, smiled at the two before me, and shook my head. Thank you both for your kind intentions. I have no plans to join a battle team at the moment. I then walked out without looking back. Lu Jia watched the scene silently from the crowd. She tried to send me a prepared apology, only to find that I had already blocked her. Back home, I checked my attribute panel. Seeing the extravagant numbers on the screen, a satisfied smile appeared on my face. As I reached level 10, I also unlocked my second active skill, Tank Factory. Within my personal space, there is not just a tank factory, but the factory can summon 100 main battle tanks, summoning one tank every 10 hours. Looking at the skill description of this tank factory, a touch of surprise couldn't help but surface on my face. I put away the attribute panel and opened the professional channel to start browsing. There were 3 days left until the Empire's new student exam. I already had a rough plan on the way back. Contract Claw, Hell Bone Hunter, and Slavery Abyss. I rubbed my chin, making a choice. I decided directly on the Hell Bone Hunter dungeon. Although the level is higher, it is not a problem with my current strength. Having made up my mind, I didn't waste time, got up, and prepared to leave. Before leaving, I seemed to think of something. I opened the equipment tab and took the defensive armor that Mu Ning had given me earlier, along with the ring of protection that dropped while I was farming. I put them together in an email and sent it off, adding a note, "Thanks for your equipment." Watching the email send, I walked out of the house toward the Tianling City branch of the Professional Association. On the other side, Mu Ning had just come down from the dungeon realm when she heard a notification sound in her mailbox. Item alert, you have received a gift of equipment from Professional Lin Fan. Looking at the notification in the mailbox, Mu Ning was slightly stunned and subconsciously clicked on the email. Thanks for your equipment. It was a very ordinary sentence, but Mu Ning couldn't help but smile. The girl clicked on her equipment tab, and her expression froze slightly. Why was there an extra item? With a flash of light, a bronze-colored ring appeared in front of Mu Ning. She stared at the ring that had suddenly materialized. Lin Fan's face showed a touch of shyness, while the young girl's expression shifted slightly. It was a bronze-grade 3-star ring. A woman beside Lin Fan walked over with a hint of jealousy and snatched the ring from Lin Fan's hand. She examined it with a smile, and before she could finish speaking, she exclaimed, "Oh! Which little boy gave this to our Ajing? Ajing, don't let yourself be fooled by a mere little gift." The woman's smile froze slightly. In terms of stats alone, this ring was already a top-tier bronze 3-star piece of equipment. More importantly, that guardian effect could effectively be considered a second life for a low-level professional. Our little Ajing in the private squad has such a young boyfriend? How come I didn't know? Lin Fan's face showed a trace of shyness as he reached out to snatch it back from the woman's hand. It's a gift from a friend, not a boyfriend, the armored woman teased. With such precious equipment, what kind of friend would be generous enough to give it to you unless they like you? A blush appeared on the young girl's fair face. This equipment is too valuable. I dare not accept it. I should return it to him. Lin Fan placed the equipment into the mail system and sent it to Lin Fan. Professional etiquette has enabled the mailbox block against you. Looking at the notification floating before her, a stunned look appeared on the girl's delicate, oval-shaped face. Lin Fan opened Professional Etiquette's avatar and sent a message. This gift is too expensive. I cannot accept it. Not long after, Lin Fan replied, "No need, just keep it. I'm going into a dungeon in a moment, so I won't be able to receive messages." Lin Fan stopped worrying about it. He silently placed the ring of protection back into his equipment slot. At this moment, the Professionals Association lobby was very lively. As Lin Fan walked into the lobby, a waitress came over to greet him with a smile. "Hello, is there anything I can help you with?" I nodded and said, "I'm going to the teleportation area." The waitress's lips curled into a smile. "Please follow me." I followed closely behind the waitress, failing to notice that a tail was silently following me. Before long, I arrived at the teleportation platform leading to the Whispering Rift, accompanied by a flash of light. As the light faded, my figure disappeared from where I stood. Someone in the crowd, who had been observing quietly, saw this. They sent a message, "Captain, that kid just teleported to the Whispering Rift dungeon." At the same time, inside the Violet Squad, a rugged and sturdy man received the message. A tall, thin man looked at the message with a flash of surprise on his face. The rugged man scanned the group and said, "All right, let's hurry and send our little friend on his way." Just then, as the light in front of my eyes faded, I opened my eyes to see a deep, twisted canyon before me. I waved my hand, and suddenly 46 ordinary soldiers emerged behind me, looking into the white mist ahead. Sensing the vague silhouettes of monsters, I directly ordered the soldiers beside me to surround the area. A monster resembling a green swine suddenly lunged out of the white mist. The surrounding soldiers didn't waste a single word. They pulled their triggers immediately. In no more than a second, the green swine monster slowly collapsed to the ground. You have killed a level 20 goblin, gained 500 EXP. It gave more experience than the elite wild moon wolf from before. I had definitely come to the right place, the Whispering Rift. I didn't waste any time, commanding the ordinary soldiers under my command to disperse. Divided into squads of 4, leaving one small team by my side, I watched my experience bar rapidly rising. A smile appeared on my face, and I directed my soldiers to slaughter their way deeper into the canyon. About half an hour after I left, the teleportation gate flashed with light. A group of 5 people slowly emerged. After searching continuously for half an hour, the rugged man's expression turned somewhat ugly. How can he not be here? Perhaps that Lin Fan went deeper into the dungeon. Thinking of this possibility, the rugged man's expression darkened further. The rugged man immediately called over 2 more people from the other side, assembled his team, and headed straight inside. At this point, I had wiped out most of the goblins and my level had officially reached level 15. I waved my hand, and with a ripple of space in front of me, a tank slowly materialized on the empty ground. Just as I was about to give the tank in front of me the command to farm monsters automatically, a system notification suddenly popped up. A Lord-level monster has appeared at the marked location in your current dungeon, the Whispering Rift. Once a Lord-level monster spawns, everyone inside the dungeon will be notified to head toward it. Please proceed to eliminate it as soon as possible. Various thoughts flashed through my mind, and I didn't hesitate. I climbed directly onto the tank in front of me and ordered all soldiers and tanks to head to the target location as quickly as possible. About 10 minutes later, over 100 class holders were already in the area, attacking in unison. A 12-meter-tall giant goblin stood there, wielding a massive bone club in its hand. It swung the club around, striking at all the class holders nearby. I ordered my soldiers to launch an attack. The tanks stood by, ready to pounce and land the final blow. As I joined the battle, over 100 soldiers began firing simultaneously, their guns spraying bullets toward that boss-level monster, the Goblin King. The Goblin King, with its massive health pool of 2 million, saw its health bar start to drop at a speed visible to the naked eye. Inside a creek cave, the rugged man leading the group no longer wore the cold, calm sneer he had a few days ago. Where did that kid run off to? He's really good at hiding. The rugged man felt frustrated, but he suddenly received a notification from the system. If Lin Fan is in this dungeon, he should be heading there too. Once the boss-level monster is killed, we'll follow him. Took the group about 20 minutes to reach the scene. By this moment, the Goblin King's health had already dropped by half. Seeing the supersized goblin waving its giant club, the rugged man's eyes filled with a hint of wariness. Don't go up there. This monster's damage is lethal if you get even a scratch. Let's just pick off the scraps from the periphery. Huh! Why is its health dropping so fast? The rugged man widened his eyes in disbelief. He watched as the Goblin King's health plummeted rapidly. The rugged man took a clear look at the scene, and his eyes bulged wide. He pointed a trembling finger to the side. Look, those seem to be humanoid summons. That person is. It's Lin Fan. Watching Lin Fan surrounded by those humanoid summons, the rugged man felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of monsters did Lin Fan summon? Why are there so many? Most importantly, their attacks don't look flashy, but every single one of them is stronger than me. This meant that even as a B-tier class holder, I am not as good as a single one of Lin Fan's summons. Meanwhile, I had all my focus on the Goblin King. Over 200 soldiers were dealing 120,000 damage every minute. Seeing the Goblin King's health getting lower and lower, the nearby class holders tacitly slowed down, their attack rhythm communicating in their channels, preparing their skills, ready for the final 20,000 health killsteal. The Goblin King's health slowly approached 100,000. Following orders in their respective team channels, the members of each team began secretly charging their skills. Just then, a laser beam shot out from the fog in the distance. The Goblin King let out a cry of unwillingness, its entire body slowly collapsing. The class holders at the scene watched this with wide eyes. How did 70,000 health vanish in an instant? Unlike the disappointed crowd, I smiled as I looked at my inventory interface. Purple glow in my inventory looked exceptionally brilliant. Besides, the level 30 boss monster leveled me up by 4 whole levels. Too busy to check my level change, I focused my eyes first on the equipment in my inventory: Starlawyer's Magic Blood, Wanderer's Ring of Wisdom, and Exile's Summoning Necklace. Looking at the 3 pieces of equipment, I felt quite satisfied. I stepped forward and walked out. As for the tanks not far away, after they fired their main cannons, I had already recalled them to the summoning space. Seeing me leave, everyone obviously didn't dare to harbor any thoughts of blocking me. Their eyes filled with awe and admiration. One must maintain respect for the strong. The members of the Violet Squad looked at each other, clearly in a dilemma. Finally, the leader, the rugged man, gritted his teeth and waved his hand. Follow him first. Lin Fan is strong, but he is a summoner after all. No matter how powerful, he's a glass cannon himself. Let's just follow him. Checking for a chance to strike, a few figures appeared in a hurry, only minutes after the others had left. They arrived at the scene, looking at the carcass of the Goblin King on the ground, which had already been stripped bare. An elderly man among them. His expression shifted slightly. It was gone. The young man beside him, watching this scene, felt the smile that had been on his face slowly fade. Damn it, how long ago did they receive the dungeon notification? It was already cleared? The burly man next to him pulled over a random class holder, asking for details. After the man was robbed of his kill and the needed information was gathered, the burly man tossed the guy a silver coin and told him to get lost. The elder looked at the young man, sighing. Young master, this might be difficult. That person is likely an A-tier rank 1 class holder or higher. That beam must have been a skill released by his teammates. The young man was clearly unwilling to give up. After pondering for a moment, he flashed a ruthless gaze. We'll track them down first. Let's see what the guy's level and guild are. Meanwhile, I walked slowly through the white mist. After reaching level 11, I summoned my 60 soldiers and tanks, who scattered to hunt monsters separately. I kept only 5 or 6 soldiers by my side. Just then, my footsteps faltered as I watched 3 figures emerge from the mist. I frowned slightly. The young man looked at me standing before him, his pupils widening with a hint of shock. Level 11? At that thought, aside from the envy in the young man's heart, a hint of excitement flickered in his eyes. I had already become alert with the 3 figures appearing before me and signaled my summoned creatures to, "Who are you?" Sensing that the people before me had ill intentions, I asked. The elder wore a gentle, polite smile and said, "We are from the Iron Blood Guild. We came here today to propose a deal. With you, little brother." I raised an eyebrow. Sorry, I have no interest in doing business. By now, I had already guessed their intent for coming here. It was definitely for the equipment dropped by the Goblin King just moments ago. The elder's expression stiffened, and his smile faded. He narrowed his eyes at me. "Young man, it's better to listen to your elders. Otherwise," the young man on the side interjected, "Uncle, why waste breath on someone like this? You're only level 11, what are you acting tough for? Beside me, these 2 class holders are over level 45. Hand over the equipment right now, and kneel down for our young master. Knock your head 3 times, and we might consider letting you live." The next moment, the elder launched a dash skill, appearing behind me in an instant. He viciously plunged his combat knife toward my back. Seeing me take the blow, without even flinching, the elder stood there, stunned. Not far away, excitement filled the eyes of the young man. "That's it! What kind of garbage genius? Still got stabbed just like that." Watching me stand there completely unaffected, the young man nearly had his eyeballs pop out. I glanced at him, a faint smirk forming on my lips, still waiting for a reaction. Not only were the soldiers by my side ready, but a dark mass of soldiers had also emerged from the mist, slowly approaching. At least 100 guns aimed simultaneously at the elder. In less than a second, the elder's entire body was riddled with holes like a sieve, and he collapsed heavily to the ground, a pile of gold equipment spilling out around him. The young man watched this, his eyes wide with astonishment, while the burly man beside him felt a surge of terror and subconsciously tried to grab his young master to escape. However, the moment he moved, the 100 or so soldiers had already turned their muzzles toward them. He started with rapid gunfire. Before he could even extend his palm, his entire body was riddled with holes in an instant. In a mere split second, the young man broke down. He was very decisive. He knelt down immediately and began kowtowing. "Big brother, I was wrong. I was just joking with you earlier," I said, listening to the young man's snot-nosed, tearful wailing before me. I felt not the slightest bit of sympathy. Accompanied by a burst of intensive gunfire, the young man fell onto the snowy slope. Gold equipment littered the ground around him, but I was in no rush to pick it up. I just glanced toward the dense forest nearby, where several figures were being escorted out at gunpoint by my soldiers. I looked at them slowly. "Violet team, you wanted me dead that badly?" The man in the light-colored clothing felt terrified, forcing a smile as he looked at me. A misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. We were just passing by. I slowly withdrew the smile from my face. Kill them! Following my command, the 4 men below had no time to react at all. Accompanied by another burst of intensive gunfire, everyone fell to the ground. I reached out to grab the loot dropped on the ground. I gathered everything into my bag. Shenyuan City in Donglin Province serves as the central stronghold of the entire province. Shenyuan City gathers most of the experts from across Donglin Province, and in the heart of the city stand 3 tall towers. Rising up like landmarks, they are the headquarters of the 3 major combat team guilds in Shenyuan City. In a training room on the upper level of one of the towers, a burly man is conducting a damage test on the simulation dummy in front of him. He is CMO, one of the vice-captains of the Iron Blood team, just as he was testing his damage. Suddenly, an urgent prompt flashed in his job system, and CMO's expression changed slightly. He couldn't care about the test anymore and looked at his system notification. Your special alert. Friend Si Hong is dead. Looking at the alert in the system, CMO's eyes turned red instantly. Xiao Hong, accompanied by a surge of flames, the alloy test dummy in the training room, instantly flashed terrifying damage numbers. CMO opened the training room door with a gloomy face, walked out, and went to the team's data room. The team members waiting there clearly knew why CMO had come, so while offering their condolences, they silently pulled up the records of how Si Hong and the other 2 were killed. Looking at the names in the record, CMO gritted his teeth and ordered, "Find out the identity information of this monster. I will make him pay for Xiao Hong's life with his own." On the other side, I had already returned home and laid down, picking and choosing through the equipment. After equipping myself with a ring, a staff, and a belt, I looked at my current attribute panel. My mental power had reached a terrifying 615 points, and the health of every ordinary soldier under my command had reached 640 points. Satisfied, I slowly closed my eyes, and the night passed in silence. Early the next morning, at the square of the Tianling City Professionals Association, I arrived at the square. After the crowd gathered, I waited for about 10 minutes. A figure suddenly appeared in the air in front of us. It was the man who had been responsible for everyone's freshman trial earlier. After a quick scan, a satisfied smile appeared on the man's face, and when his gaze fell upon me, a look of surprise could not be hidden. This batch of freshmen has truly surprised me. I hope that in this competition your batch can set the best record for Donglin Province in the Imperial Freshman Trial. The man led everyone to a teleportation altar. With a flash of light, everyone arrived in a vast world where geniuses from all over the world were gathered. The man said slowly, "In this trial, the top 3 of the 2 national war dungeons will receive a 30% increase in dungeon output rewards, while the last 7 will receive the opposite." Before long, a voice suddenly echoed in everyone's minds. The Imperial Freshman Trial is about to begin. Accompanied by a flash of light, the vast square became completely empty in an instant. This scene was not just happening in the Xiaoyu Empire. Geniuses from countries like England and the Tianluo Kingdom also initiated their dungeon teleportations. As the dizziness from the teleportation faded, I slowly opened my eyes. Before me was a palace complex built of eternal ice and pale stone. Inside the translucent walls, one could faintly see the figures of frozen guards, maintaining their postures from before death, though their faces were blurry. Seeing the scene before me, I immediately summoned my soldiers and tanks. I looked around with a sweep of my head, and my expression became somewhat confused. How did it look like I had already arrived in the depths of the Eternal Era Royal Court? Just as I was thinking this, the sound of ice cracking came from nearby, and on the throne in the distance, a stone sword giant slowly stood up. The ice frozen on the giant's body slowly cracked open. A crimson light flickered in its eyes, and it stared at me with a cold gaze. "You have disturbed the Eternal Era Royal Court." The gaze of the 3 kings, Frost King, following the system prompt, before me appeared. The detailed attribute panel of the Frost Giant. Many thoughts raced through my mind, but I did not hesitate at all. I directly ordered my soldiers to charge over. The Frost King had no intelligence, and it slowly swung the ice blade in its hand toward the tank's armor. The strike landed, but for a tank, this amount of damage was clearly insignificant. The long gun barrel slowly extended toward the Frost King, firing a shell at the giant, while the soldiers nearby also raised their weapons one after another. At this moment, the spectator stands of a massive ancient arena were filled with millions of great Xia class holders, all staring at the projection in the sky. On the score leaderboard, a name shot straight up, firmly occupying the top position. First day, Tiangu Yutai, UK, 8,000 points. Looking at the name at the top of the list, everyone's expressions turned grim. Meanwhile, I stood at a distance, calmly commanding my soldiers to attack the frost giant wielding a sword before me. With a roar, seeing the Frost King raise its massive frost sword high, I did not hesitate. I recalled all my soldiers into the summoning space. The next second, a frost storm swept across the entire plaza, and damage indicators appeared over my tanks. -600 seconds later, as the frost storm slowly dissipated, the frost giant seemed frustrated, finally letting out a roar of unwillingness. As the soldiers' weapons flashed with gunfire, the Frost King prepared to raise its sword again to plunge it into the ice to recover health. I immediately ordered the 8 tanks, already charged up, to fire their laser cannons. A violent explosion ensued. The meter-wide laser beam struck the Frost King hard, and the HP bar that the Frost Greatsword had just restored was completely wiped out. With one last unwilling howl, this 5-star Lord-level monster crashed onto the ice with a thud. You have gained 3.2 billion national war points. I felt a bit dazzled for a moment. First was the level. I leveled up 5 times instantly and unlocked a 3rd skill. Missile Artillery Factory, along with 2 pieces of equipment, the Crown of Eternal Silence. I didn't hesitate to switch my gear, equipping the 2 pieces of the purple gold set immediately. After organizing my loot, I looked at the spot where the Frost King had fallen, the towering frost giant. It had already disappeared, leaving only some special materials behind. I stepped forward. Picking up the materials, I saw the Frost King main token, which could summon the former monarch of the Court of Eternal Silence. Next is the Soul Silence King. With my current points, I can already lock in the victory. In the Great Xia Empire arena, everyone looked at the leaderboard in silence. The National War Dungeon had been open for nearly an hour, and the rankings were basically stable. Tiangu Yutai of the UK had firmly held the first place. It seemed they would lose this National War Dungeon, though one couldn't blame the new generation. The opponents were indeed too strong. Wait, look, following the exclamation from the crowd. A name was seen rising rapidly, and that terrifying string of zeros left everyone in the arena dumbfounded. How much? 3.2 billion points? It left the second place so far behind they couldn't even see the dust. On a vast ice plain, a man in black beast skin clothing slowly retracted his staff. Congratulations on participating in the kill of an elite 3-star monster, Ice Plain Blood Fragment Spirit. You have gained 3 million national war points. Looking at the system notification, a smile appeared on Tiangu Yutai's face. Tiangu Yutai. He had checked the current national war ranking page just 10 minutes ago, noting that he had already pulled ahead of the next person by nearly 800,000 points, and now, with these 3 million points added, those Great Xia Empire class holders must be feeling desperate by now, right? Thinking of that scene, Tiangu Yuthai's mouth curled into a triumphant smirk, his eyes slowly turning to the National War Points leaderboard. With just one glance, the smile on Tiangu Yuthai's face froze slightly. It was as if something very strange had mixed in. Not sure, let me look again. How much? 3.2 billion. Tiangu Yutai immediately called over his subordinates. Abandon all monsters we encounter on the way. Come over immediately. We are going into the Frost King's palace too. Tiangu Yutai bit his lips secretly, a possibility surfacing in his mind. If a class holder is judged by the system to possess immense strength, perhaps they really would be spawned directly outside the Frost King's palace. At this moment, I had already arrived before another Frost King palace, looking at the silent structure before me. I stepped inside, and with an icy cold voice, the figure on the throne slowly cast its gaze toward me. You have disturbed one of the 3 pillars of the Eternal Silence Court, the Soul Silence King. The figure on the throne slowly broke free of its seal and stood up. I waved my hand to signal an attack. Over 500 soldiers raised their weapons, pointing them at the purple giant before them. Unleashing their firepower, the Soul Silence King seemed angered by the soldiers' attack, letting out a deep, low groan. Listen to the final wails of these 10,000 souls. From the frozen areas around the palace, endless soul power seemed to surge, gathering toward the purple armored giant, and with the flow of soul power, all the soldiers in the arena, the tanks, and even the ground beneath my feet, were instantly flooded with a pale purple aura. I walked out of the palace quite calmly, escaping the effective range of the 1,000-soul grave, and seeing the flames about to rise, I immediately summoned my troop units. I recalled them back into the summoning space. Seeing that the purple armored giant had finished releasing its skill, I summoned all my soldiers once again. Dense, rhythmic gunfire resonated through the palace. The purple armored giant appeared infuriated, with countless chains manifesting all over its body. The chains struck every soldier. I repeated my evasive maneuvers, barely holding on for 10 seconds. After the sequence, the Soul King had only recovered a pathetic 10,000 HP. Seeing that the Soul Chaos King's disruption mechanic had worn off, I immediately summoned my soldiers back without hesitation. Just as I was battling the Soul Realm King, another group of uninvited guests arrived outside a different palace. Tianguo Yutai led over 100 elite British squad members to the entrance of the dark, gloom-shrouded Armory Palace. Excitement flickered in Tianguo Yutai's eyes. This was the Grudge Dark King, one of the 3 king pillars. Killing this lord-level monster would be a major feat. With this, his points should be able to catch up to Lin Fan's. He led his team into the Armory Palace. The giant sat upon a throne, shrouded in darkness as if it were an abyss devouring everything. Sensing the intruders within the shadows, a pair of crimson eyes slowly opened. Tianguo Yutai and his team received system notifications simultaneously. Watching the dark armor giant rise from the throne, Tianguo Yutai took a glance at the Grudge Dark King's stat panel. His face instantly turned pale. Upon seeing the Grudge Dark King's stats, many of the British professionals began to lose their nerve. Commander Yutai, I think we should retreat from this palace. There is no way we can shake this Grudge Dark King. Of course, not everyone thought the same. Tianguo Yutai looked at the Grudge Dark King before him, then silently checked the point leaderboard. He had led his subordinates on a frantic dash, skipping all other monsters, just to fight for second place. Now that his points had dropped to 5th, if they gave up now, wouldn't that be an admission of failure for this national war dungeon? Brothers, we've traveled for hours to get here. How can we leave without doing a thing? Commander Yutai, please make the call. Tianguo Yutai ordered his team into position. The professionals unleashed their skills, attacking the 10-meter-tall dark armor giant, with dense damage numbers popping up over its body. The king pillar didn't seem as fearsome as imagined. The dark armor giant slowly stood up, raised its staff, and peered at the crowd with deep, hollow eyes. It felt as if half the dark energy in the palace was absorbed. A shocking amount of damage floated over everyone's heads. This king pillar isn't that scary after all. Suddenly, the dark armor giant slowly raised its staff high. Before the British team could react, they were all slowly pulled in by the abyss domain. Sensing danger, the British group tried to teleport or dash away, but their feet felt as though they were stuck in mud, unable to move even an inch. A few seconds passed, the black abyss beneath the giant's feet dissipated, and the nearly 310,000 HP they had chipped away had already slowly refilled to full. The British team looked on in a daze. Unlike the British group, I was having an exceptionally easy time farming the Soul King. With a barrage of gunfire and a laser beam striking the purple armor giant, the Soul King let out a dull roar, seemingly frustrated by the indignity of its death, before crashing heavily onto the palace floor. As the giant fell, the system notification rang. Congratulations, you have killed the Lord-level monster. Soul King, you have reached level 27. I swept past the loot, fixing my gaze on 2 purple gold items, Soul Armor and Royal Court Armor. I immediately equipped both pieces, and my set bonus leveled up. Eternal Chant Royal Court set effect. 4/6, your summoned units gain an additional 40% damage boost. With this, I had collected 4 pieces of the Eternal Chant Royal Court set. I scanned my current stat panel. I looked at the 3rd military factory I had unlocked, the Howitzer Factory. Inside my personal space, I had more than just a howitzer factory. Without wasting time, I summoned the howitzer. With a flash of light, a behemoth slowly appeared before me, a steel monster painted in deep green. The chassis, much like a tank, used treads made from a high-intensity core. The most striking feature was its massive turret. After carefully inspecting it, I felt a surge of pleasant surprise at the howitzer's stat window. Unlike the tank's role, the howitzer was designed for long-range bombardment, capable of hitting targets beyond visual range, and it even possessed 1% true damage. Meanwhile, the British professionals in the Grudge Dark King's palace were still struggling. However, as the Grudge Dark King used its recovery skill again in just 5 seconds, the health bar they had painstakingly whittled down was instantly restored to full. Tianguo Yutai, the leader, had a face that turned green. To kill this monster, he had used the secret weapon given by his nation, a one-time item to restrict health regeneration. After using such an expensive item, they had failed nonetheless. We can't keep fighting. Tianguo Yutai gritted his teeth. Despite his reluctance, he knew they truly lacked the strength to take down the Grudge Dark King. A few seconds later, he uttered a single word: retreat. Hearing their captain's command, the British professionals finally let out a sigh of relief and began to file out in an orderly fashion. Tianguo Yutai sat in the corner of the palace, looking dejected. Suddenly, a system notification sounded. Not just Tianguo Yutai but many of the British professionals in the room felt a sense of despair. At this moment, however, Tianguo Yutai seemed to have realized something. There is only one way to surpass that place, the world boss. To kill the 3 king pillars, priority must be given to the last one killed. Around the king pillar, hurry! Everyone, quickly gather on the National War Channel. Summon all professionals outside the Abyssal Dark Palace. I traveled for 6 hours back and forth to finally arrive here. I slowly stepped into the palace and saw from afar the figure upon the throne, watching the magical attacks vaguely manifesting in the palace. It seems some professionals have already tasted what this place is like. After a slow walk, I entered the Abyssal Dark Palace. The Abyssal Dark King, who had been sitting on the throne, slowly stood up. Those scarlet, dark dust eyes looked at me and slowly raised the staff in his hand. After a brief scan of the Abyssal Dark King's stat panel before me, I immediately summoned the 500 soldiers, 12 tanks, and 4 howitzers from my space. All of them were summoned. The 12 tanks, once summoned, immediately charged their laser cannons and fired a volley at the Abyssal Dark King. The Abyssal Dark King seemed to feel the pain. He raised his staff high. Embrace the final darkness. The entire palace seemed to dim. All soldiers suffered a certain amount of damage, and their heads were all marked with an eternal darkness effect. A domain of dark divinity slowly emerged beneath the Abyssal Dark King's feet. Seeing the Abyssal Dark King activate his 3rd skill, Abyssal Absorption, to recover, I didn't hesitate. I immediately moved all soldiers and self-propelled howitzers back into my summoning space, leaving only the tanks on the spot to prevent the Abyssal Dark King from absorbing energy. Seeing that the Abyssal Dark King had only recovered a pathetic 6,000 HP, I couldn't help but let a smile play on my lips. Who said this Abyssal Dark King was difficult? This Abyssal Dark King is way too simple. In less than 20 minutes, the Abyssal Dark King's HP was already bottoming out. I simply summoned all the soldiers and the 4 howitzers back out, beginning the charge early. As the Abyssal Dark King's HP dropped to 1,030,000, the tanks and howitzers fired their skills simultaneously. The HP bar above the Abyssal Dark King's head hit 0 in an instant, and he slowly collapsed in the palace. Congratulations, you have killed the level 5 Lord tier field monster, the Abyssal Dark King. You have leveled up to 30. I completed the last 2 pieces of epic gear, the Abyssal Revival Cuirass and the Dim Grasp Bracers. The set is complete. At this moment, the system notification echoed in my mind. The 3 king pillars have fallen. The seal of the Lord of Eternal Silence is about to be broken. As I picked up the token from the ground, the 2 tokens in my system automatically floated out and merged with the Abyssal Dark King's token. A beam of dazzling light shot into the sky. At the same time, in the National War Dungeon, all professionals received a system notification. The 3 king tokens have been collected. The world boss, the Lord of Eternal Silence, is about to descend. Please head to the coordinates to eliminate it. Looking at the prompt in the National War Dungeon, all British professionals had expressions of wild joy on their faces. That Lin Fan actually really defeated the Abyssal Dark King. Our 30,000 British professionals have all gathered here. Currently, the Xiaoyu Empire barely brought 100,000. 30,000 against 100,000. At this moment, a brilliant divine light slowly smashed down toward the palace below. As the light dissipated, a frost giant several hundred meters tall stood slowly upon the ice field, its phantom towering. Everyone's mind displayed the stat panel of the world boss before them. Looking at the giant standing several hundred meters tall, the professionals in the arena involuntarily tilted their heads. This is the world boss? It's so huge. As the giant phantom on the ice field slowly solidified, the prepared professionals all unleashed their skills. Rock showers, arrow volleys, fireballs, a wide variety of attacks rained down upon the Lord of Eternal Silence. The Lord of Eternal Silence let out a roar, and beneath his feet, a pale gray halo slowly expanded. The professionals in the arena turned pale. Some tried to dodge, while others simply stood their ground, enduring the spreading skill effect. It wasn't fatal anyway. As everyone attacked, the Lord of Eternal Silence's HP slowly began to drop. A cunning smile formed on the faces of the most gifted in the crowd. Glancing at his rapidly rising score, a smile appeared on Tengu Yotai's face. Becoming increasingly reckless, his score surpassed 500 million in the blink of an eye. Everyone on the field had their eyes fixed on the world boss before them, completely unaware that a strange iron battle vehicle was approaching from one direction. With its yellow-green tank chassis, I looked at the Lord of Courage in front of me, a scheming smile surfacing on my face. I immediately summoned nearly 600 soldiers, and subsequently, I summoned all my tanks and self-propelled cannons. My self-propelled cannons were deployed on the spot, with all 3 forces focusing their fire simultaneously on the world boss, the Lord of Courage. As they attacked its body, my score began to rise at a pace visible to the naked eye. At the same time, Tiangu Yutai was issuing commands methodically, directing all the professionals to attack, while he himself did not have a moment of rest, constantly unleashing all his skills, occasionally landing hits on the world boss's critical pulse points. The healers beside him would quickly replenish their health. This prompted a professional near Tiangu Yutai to whisper a reminder, "Captain, that Lin Fan seems to have arrived." Tiangu Yutai raised an eyebrow upon hearing this, and on the National War Channel, he sent out a general notification, "Increase the efficiency of the attack. Once the health drops below 10%, start saving your skills." On the other side, the news of my arrival naturally spread throughout the Japanese Empire's National War Channel. However, watching my score rise, some professionals began to mock me in the channel instead. "Only now do you know to come? The only way to win now is to snatch the final blow from the British." As the boss's health dropped below 10%, I began to order the 5 self-propelled cannons at my side to charge up in advance. Meanwhile, players from various countries on the field were also accelerating their attack frequency, and with hundreds of thousands of professionals attacking in unison, the health of the Lord of Courage began to drop at a rate visible to the naked eye. The moment the boss's health dropped to 5%, my eyes lit up. Now! The 5 self-propelled cannons, which had been charging for a full minute, acted upon my command, simultaneously launched their attack, 5 laser beams converging into a single ray of light, slamming fiercely into the Lord of Courage. The Lord of Courage. Its tall body slowly began to fade, and at this moment everyone widened their eyes. Why did the Lord of Courage suddenly disappear? Of course some noticed something was wrong. "Look at the leaderboard." Many were reminded by these words. They looked at the system score panel and the first place was still Tiangu Yotai's name, 48.1 billion. Although it was high, that was not his personal score, but the cumulative score of all British professionals. What left everyone stunned was the second name. With a score of 1.1 billion, the world boss had actually been taken down by that Lin Fan. In the crowd, Tiangu Yutai stared blankly at the score rankings, while at this moment in my system, a dense stream of notification sounds rang out. Listening to the non-stop system prompts in my mind, I looked at the 2 newly dropped purple gold and epic grade items. The Lord of Courage's Staff of Destruction equipment effect, your summon skills. Cooldown reduced by 20%. The Lord of Courage's Belt of Annihilation equipment effect, your summon health plus 20%. The epic grade items were a ring and a necklace, glowing with an orange light. Ring of Courageous Dominion equipment effect, your summons. All attributes plus 20%, Chain of Universal Law. Looking at the 2 epic grade equipment attributes, a flash of surprise crossed my eyes. It was a very violent boost to a professional's attributes. Without hesitation, I equipped the 2 epic grade pieces of gear. Now, with only 1 minute left until the instance concluded, in my mind, a voice slowly echoed, "National War Instance. Eternal Silent Court is ending. Countdown initiated." As the countdown ended, throughout the entire world of ice and snow, with a brilliant flash of light, all the professionals were teleported out of the dungeon. As I opened my eyes, a man in red robes, the Fire Dragon Master, stood on a high platform. "Congratulations to everyone for successfully returning from the National War Dungeon." After the crowd cheered for a moment, the Fire Dragon Master said with a smile on his face, "You are all our heroes. Due to limited time, your point rankings and rewards will be sent via mail. With that, I declare the Imperial Freshman Training officially concluded. You may all head down now." After finding their respective teams, I was the only one left. The red-robed master looked at me with a smile and asked, "Lin Fan, I have some private words for you. On behalf of the Pajun squad I represent, I hope you will join us." Listening to the conditions offered by the man in red, I shook my head gently and said, "I hope you can understand, and thank you for your kindness, sir. I have no intention of joining any squad for now. I am an army all by myself. Any form of grouping is just a burden to me." Accompanied by a gust of wind, I had already returned to the ground below. The person in charge of the Heavenly Spirit Lion team was still waiting there, looking at me with a hint of admiration. I walked up to the person in charge, whispered a few words, and although they were somewhat surprised, they had no intention of stopping me. Watching me leave, the members of the Heavenly Spirit Lion team looked shocked. "Sir, where is Lin Fan going?" The person in charge sighed. "He already reached level 30 while in the secret realm, and he is now going to complete his class advancement mission." Upon hearing this, the group's expressions were complex. "I am now going to choose a suitable dungeon to begin my class advancement." I walked into the profession hall, and a server immediately came up to greet me. Respected professional, how may I help you? I flicked a coin into the server's hand. I need to perform my first-class advancement. Please lead me to the advancement hall. The server took the coin, and their smile became even brighter. Sir, please follow me. I will take you there. The server introduced me to some relatively suitable dungeons. First is the Destruction Nest Secret Realm, which has a difficulty rating of 3 stars. Second is the Abyss of Soul Secret Realm, and the third is the Voidtide Secret Realm. One of the Voidtide Secret Realms can even unlock the finality difficulty. I listened carefully to the server's explanation, a look of contemplation appearing on my face, and silently chose the Voidtide in my heart. Arriving at the advancement hall, I looked at the server beside me and smiled. I choose the Voidtide Secret Realm. Very well, sir, please go to the number 126 teleportation altar over there. I wish you the best of luck. After placing the credentials, the altar flashed with light, and Lin Fan instantly disappeared from it. Chapter 51. Teaming up to enter the dungeon, Lin Fan leaps away. Following a dizzying sensation, Lin Fan slowly opened his eyes, and his figure had already appeared on a teleportation altar. Before him was a vast square, covering an area of approximately 10,000 square kilometers. Looking out, dense crowds of professionals filled the entire plaza. Looking for a team, we have experts in our group, capable of clearing the hard mode. The price is very cheap, only 100 gold coins per person. Selling materials, void stones, the core dropped by the Lord level 1-star monster, the Void Jungle Beast, on sale for 200 gold coins. Equipment exchange, trading silver 3-star mage equipment. Looking for summoner equipment of the same quality and rank. The plazas were bustling with people, and the sounds of hawking could be heard everywhere. Lin Fan stepped off the teleportation altar, and several nearby professionals noticed. Immediately surrounding him, "Hi, need a team? Want to join a party? We have big shots in our squad, the kind that can carry. Hello, do you want to buy a copy of the Voidtide Secret Realm data? It's only 1 silver coin, and it's guaranteed to be comprehensive. Generally speaking, class advancement secret realms can be repeated. For instance, if you have already cleared the Voidtide Secret Realm in hard mode, you can choose to go through it again. Of course, after clearing it, you will not receive the advancement rewards again. You can also choose to increase the difficulty of the secret realm. For example, if you previously chose the Voidtide hard mode, you can later choose to increase it to despair mode. If you can clear it, the advancement rewards will be upgraded to the rewards of despair mode. Therefore, there is no such thing as bugging the system by clearing normal difficulty first, and then completing hard mode after the advancement is successful. Since secret realm dungeon clearing can be repeated, certain specialized professions have emerged. For example, 2 very ordinary professionals, who could originally only clear the normal mode, would team up with 3 stronger professionals to tackle hard mode. Because the dungeon difficulty is set according to the team's combined strength. As long as the 3 team leaders are strong enough, they can completely carry these 2, who could only clear the normal mode and force them through the hard mode. Of course, it is very expensive. To be carried through hard mode, it costs 100 gold coins. 100 gold coins are comparable to a piece of silver-grade equipment, enough to let a family of 3 live a very wealthy life in a safe city. To be carried through despair mode costs at least 1,000 gold coins or more. As for being carried through abyss mode, there are basically no teams in the world that can take on such a job. This would imply that the team consists mostly of S-tier professionals, and only such a team in any country would be a top-tier squad, and it is impossible for them to be doing this kind of business here. Hearing the chatter of those around him, Lin Fan quickened his pace and exited the crowd. Those people were not discouraged and continued waiting around the teleportation altar. After leaving the crowd, Lin Fan casually bought a secret realm intel sheet at a nearby stall. It only cost 2 copper coins. While reading the content on it, Lin Fan slowly arrived at the center of the plaza. In the center of the plaza there stood a giant light purple teleportation gate that was the entrance to the secret realm. There were still many people here forming teams. Of course, the professionals forming teams here were all using the open recruitment method, 5-man teams, 5-man teams. Need 1 more healer, must be at least C-tier, will enter the secret realm once full. 5-man team, we have a tank and an alchemist, looking for a main damage dealer. Requirements, matching profession level. Generally speaking, everyone waits until the team is full before entering the secret realm. On one hand, after forming a team, there is a hidden loot rate bonus. And on the other hand, a 5-man team is more well-rounded and easier to handle than solo runs. There are also some who only want the party bonuses, so they just group up with 2 or 3 people and head straight into the secret realm. Lin Fan arrived before the entrance and rubbed his chin, carefully reviewing the information on Void Tide in his hand. According to what it said, if doing a solo run, even in the highest difficulty Abyss mode, the drop rate for epic tier equipment is very low, only 1%, but forming a group can directly increase this probability to 10%, a full 10-fold increase. In fact, if you look closely, many dungeons in this world, or secret realms, are actually encouraging professionals to team up, unless you are a monster like Lin Fan, who is an army unto himself. Otherwise, normally, in terms of both efficiency and drop rates, teaming up is higher than going solo. Lin Fan looked at the paper in his hand and felt a moment of hesitation. Although 10% is still low compared to that pathetic 1%, it is 10 times higher. Anyway, he is now level 35, having reached the profession cap, and he cannot gain experience before clearing the dungeon, so he might as well find someone to team up with. Just as he was thinking this, Lin Fan saw a girl who was timidly asking the professionals around her in a low voice, "Excuse me, can I join your team? I don't need the experience or equipment. I only need one specific material." The girl spoke timidly, but the professionals who heard her showed no intention of responding. Occasionally, one or two professionals would show interest only for their teammates, to whisper a few words to them, causing their expressions to change as they hurriedly looked away. The girl did not pester them. Seeing no one replied, she lowered her head again, and timidly moved to another spot to keep asking. Seeing this scene, Lin Fan felt a bit strange, and simply walked over. The girl had her head lowered, asking the professionals around her, and did not notice Lin Fan's figure appearing before her, walking straight into his chest. Had it not been for Lin Fan's quick reflexes in grabbing her, she would likely have fallen over from the impact. The girl's face was somewhat pale. She steadied herself and instinctively apologized to Lin Fan. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Lin Fan looked at the girl in this state. He couldn't help but let out a sigh in his heart. "Did you just say you were looking for teammates?" Hearing this, the girl finally looked up. What came into Lin Fan's eyes was a pure and beautiful face, with a pair of dark eyes that were incredibly bright. But she always carried a trace of timid fear. Looking at Lin Fan's handsome face before her, she didn't seem like a bad person. The girl nodded gently, a blush of shyness appearing on her face. "Can you form a team with me? I don't need anything. If any equipment or materials drop, could you share a little with me? Just a tiny bit." Lin Fan nodded. He casually sent a friend request to the girl standing right in front of him. Shortly after, the girl accepted Lin Fan's friend request. "Player Lin Li, ID 12678, has accepted your friend request." Lin Fan casually added the girl to the party channel and was about to head into the pale purple portal in front of him, when he was called out by a voice from the side. "Stop! The 52nd Void Tide dungeon is restricted. Do not enter." Lin Fan didn't stop in his tracks upon hearing this. A look of fear appeared on the girl's face, and she quickly picked up her pace. However, the other person moved faster, blocking the path directly in front of the purple portal. Lin Fan stopped, looking somewhat impatient. "Something the matter?" It was a young man. He had an arrogant look on his face initially, but seeing Lin Fan's attitude, he felt a bit hesitant. After a few seconds, he put on a faint smile. "My friend, are you a class advancement professional from another province? This girl is a low-level class holder with very weak skills, and once in the dungeon, she'll be nothing but a burden. Why don't you consider switching teammates?" The girl beside Lin Fan turned pale and instinctively glanced at him, biting her lip, her dark eyes filled with a hint of grievance. He was the only class holder today willing to form a team with her. If she were persuaded to leave by this jerk, it looked like I wouldn't be able to form a party today either. Lin Fan looked at the man in front of him with a calm expression, his eyes reflecting the same look one might give an idiot. "No need. She invited me to join her party, only to increase her efficiency. As far as I'm concerned, let alone one burden. Even if she dragged a 4-person cheerleading squad in with her, they could still clear the dungeon." Hearing this, the young man's expression turned cold. "My friend, you'd better take my advice. I am from the Red Scale team of the Vermilion Bird Province." Lin Fan was even more speechless. "Red Scale team? What kind of trash team is that? Never heard of it." "Never heard of it? Move aside," the young man barked. "I'm telling you, our deputy captain of the Red Scale team said that no one is allowed to team up with this person. If you don't want to bring trouble upon yourself, just behave." Before the young man could finish his sentence, Lin Fan had already reached out and shoved him aside. Although Lin Fan hadn't changed his class yet, his own attributes had long been pushed to an incredible level. By his full set of purple gold equipment and 3 pieces of epic grade gear. In this world, attributes were not just numbers on a stat sheet, but but were truly and tangibly fused into one's body. The young man saw Lin Fan, a kid coming to do his class change quest, actually daring to push someone like him, a level 40+ professional, and a sneer appeared on his face. However, before he could think twice, an unimaginable force shoved him away directly. He stumbled, lost his footing, and landed on the ground. Feeling the strange stares from those around him, the young man's face turned ghastly green. The surrounding professionals watched this farce, silently casting looks of awe and admiration toward Lin Fan. TSK, he even dares to provoke someone from the Red Scale team. As one of the 3 major teams, this guy is in for some real trouble. That young man looks very composed. He might have a powerful background. I don't believe it. Professionals with powerful backgrounds always have specialized team members for dungeons. The Red Scale team is really going too far, deliberately making things difficult for a little girl. Exactly. I'm also finding it hard to watch, but I don't have the strength to intervene. Lin Fan ignored the whispers behind him and was already standing before the purple portal. Glancing back at the young girl behind him, Yuli looked somewhat dazed. Seeing Lin Fan look over, she snapped out of her trance and hurriedly chased after him. The two stepped into the purple portal together, their figures instantly vanishing from the spot. The young man watched this scene, his face turning green with rage. He was, after all, a level 40 professional who had already completed his job advancement, yet he had been shoved to the ground by some kid who hadn't even advanced yet. Having lost all face, the young man stood up, gritted his teeth, and glared at the purple portal before him. "You idiot, no matter who you are, daring to offend our Sherlin team." On the other side, Lin Fan and Yuli had already arrived within the transmission corridor. Yuli leaned in close to Lin Fan and said, somewhat timidly, "I'm sorry. The people from the Sherlin team have a grudge against me. I didn't mean to keep it from you. I just really wanted to join a party to enter the dungeon. Don't worry, I don't want any of the EXP or gear. If a void crystal drops, I only need a little bit." Lin Fan was left speechless. He had just checked the dungeon information. Void crystals aren't particularly rare, but their drop rate is quite low, and they can only be obtained in party mode. No wonder this girl, despite having already undergone job advancement, was still looking for a group here. Lin Fan had no interest in asking about the grudge between the girl and the Sherlin team, nor did he care why she needed void crystals. So he asked directly, "Share your job panel with me." The girl was slightly stunned at his words, then hurriedly shared her attribute panel. With Lin Fan, name, Euli, job, random alchemist, level 32, strength 100, agility 240, spirit 248, health 240, constitution 120. Active skill 1, assistance potion, level 10. Can spend 1 hour to brew an assistance potion. Once consumed by a summoning class professional, each attack by their summoned units gains 1 point of additional damage, lasting for 1 hour. Active skill 2, recovery potion, level 10. Can spend 1 hour to brew a recovery potion. Once consumed by any professional, restores 30 points of health over 10 seconds. Active skill 3, agility potion, level 10. Can spend 1 hour to brew an agility potion. Once consumed by any professional, grants 20 points of extra agility for 1 minute. Looking at the girl's job panel, Lin Fan paused, studying her first skill in detail. In truth, as a first-tier professional, the girl's skill stats were quite average. The so-called random alchemist meant each skill was a potion randomly assigned by the system, making it basically impossible to acquire new potions through active learning. All 3 skills seemed mediocre, but that first one made Lin Fan freeze. Gains 1 point of extra damage per attack. To other professionals, this might be a trash potion, but it was different for him. The damage of his soldiers' individual attacks was already very low. Their strength relied primarily on an extremely high rate of fire to make up for it. If his soldiers could benefit from this effect, raising the base damage per bullet to 2 points, then for him that was a direct doubling of power. With no monsters in the area, Lin Fan wasn't in a hurry to test it and led the girl to the altar for selecting the dungeon difficulty. The girl kept her head down, seemingly ashamed of her own weakness, following Lin Fan timidly as he selected the dungeon difficulty. A beam of light projected downward from the altar above, and with a flash of light, the two officially entered the abyss mode of the Void Tide. Chapter 53. A God-tier assistance potion? A miracle potion. This was a dilapidated, desolate city square with a crack, dozens of miles long torn open in the sky above, from which endless purple void creatures were pouring out. Lin Fan and Yueli's figures slowly appeared on the square. Lin Fan gazed with interest at the sky above, where a rift tens of miles long had torn open. The Void Tide Secret Realm is a dungeon with a complete storyline. Choosing between the 5 different difficulties, normal, hard, desperate, abyss, and intermediate will transport you into different timelines. Starting the dungeon plot, for instance, in normal difficulty, you might be dropped into the void, just as it begins its initial invasion of the continent. In desperate difficulty, you would be sent into a scout reconnaissance group to follow the army and investigate the secrets of the Void City. As for intermediate difficulty, you are thrown in at the very moment of the full-scale void descent, where you must seal the void rift and push back the Void Emperor, whose body is already halfway emerging from the crack, to achieve victory. While Lin Fan was watching the void creatures emerging from the sky rift with interest, Yu Li, standing beside him, also looked at the ancient imperial city before them, her face turning pale. Where is this? She has entered the Void Tide Secret Realm over a dozen times, so why has she never seen this place before? The girl looked at the Party Quest interface with delayed realization. You have entered the Void Tide Intermediate mode. Please reach the center of the Imperial City as quickly as possible to prevent the Void Descent event. Yu Li opened her small mouth, a look of helplessness surfacing on her face. Ah! Stop the Void Descent? Me? Also, what is this intermediate mode? After freezing for a good while, the girl suddenly reacted, her delicate little face becoming somewhat tearful. Looking at Lin Fan beside her, her voice held a faint sob. You! Why did you choose intermediate mode? It's over. I'm definitely going to die. Actually, maybe dying is fine. I won't have to be troubled by those bad people anymore. But what about my sister? Lin Fan remained expressionless and summoned his soldiers and tank battalion. In an instant, behind Lin Fan appeared nearly 700 soldiers and 14 tanks. Looking at the girl beside him who was gazing at the void creatures in the sky, tears beginning to well up in her dark eyes, he reached out and gently tapped her head. How many more assist potions do you have? Yu Li, acting a bit clumsy, looked at Lin Fan and scrambled to pull a pile out of her bag. I only have these. Lin Fan looked at the colorful potion bottles in the girl's hands, his mouth twitching uncontrollably. I said assist potions. Assist potions. The girl hurriedly stuffed everything back in, clumsily grabbed 2 bottles, and held them in her hands. They were pale purple. There are only these 2, her potions are all very weak. Only the last 2 are somewhat useful. The first one is basically useless, which was why she barely used her skills. Lin Fan nodded, casually took 1 bottle and drank it, then tucked the other into his storage bag. Watching a void creature float up not far away without hesitation, he commanded his soldiers behind him to fire a precise shot. Bang! Seeing this, a look of joy flashed across Lin Fan's face. His equipment's damage boost had now reached a terrifying 270%, which meant that for every point of damage he dealt, it would increase by 2.7 based on the original, bringing the damage directly to 3.7. Since damage doesn't display decimals, it would calculate as for points. And now, the girl's assist potion could indeed allow his soldiers to increase their damage by 1 point. On the surface, it adds 1 point, but with his damage amplification, it added another 4 points, effectively doubling the damage of all soldiers. Moreover, for him, this is an even more terrifying boost than a flat damage increase. For example, a piece of equipment that provides a 100% boost usually adds onto the base value, but the girl's potion is different. It functions as a multiplier, allowing him to fully maximize his equipment's damage amplification. The girl's assist potion, for other professions, damage amplification. For other professionals, the girl's auxiliary potions, it might be trash, but to her, it is nothing short of a miracle potion. It is equivalent to making her subordinates. Such thoughts flashed through her mind so obviously. Lin Fan looked at her, facing her stunned expression. Don't use your second skill in the future. And don't use your third skill either. Just honestly focus on producing support potions for me. Yu Li could no longer hear what Lin Fan was saying at this moment. As that soldier fired a bullet, her gaze was already captivated by the massive troop of soldiers and the tank battalion that had suddenly appeared behind Lin Fan. 700 soldiers stood in the Imperial City Square, each holding a mechanical creation, exuding a chilling aura that made her heart inexplicably race. And beside them, that 10-meter-long behemoth with a yellow-green chassis appeared to be made of alloy, yet its cannon barrel looked remarkably flexible. The girl was momentarily dazed. Only when her head was gently patted by Lin Fan's hand did she finally snap out of her daze. Oh my god, this person is a summon-type class holder, just like my sister. But he seems to be much stronger than her. The creatures my sister used to summon were also terrifying, but there is no comparison at all. And the number of summons under his command, how can there be so many? Yueli secretly looked up, glanced at Lin Fan beside her, and quickly looked away. The despair she originally felt from choosing the Abyss mode was replaced by the calmness on Lin Fan's face, and the army of soldiers and tanks behind him gave her a strong sense of security. Lin Fan had no intention of paying any more attention to Yueli, leading her. As they walked out of the square, suddenly, Lin Fan and Yueli stopped in their tracks. A girl dressed in a translucent court gown, her body composed of starlight shimmer and void dust, slowly solidified before them. The woman looked pale, her features as exquisite as an elf's, and as she looked at Lin Fan and Yueli in front of her, her eyes, bright as stars, shone. Adventurers, you have finally arrived. You are the last beacons of light in this world. I am Vishna, a foolish daughter who was powerless to stop all of this. My father's ambition summoned the tide, and now, the tide is about to drown us all. The Void is currently holding the final arrival ritual at the heart of the Imperial City. We must stop it. Follow me. I know a broken path to the core, but the Void corrosive fog has already filled every corner. Prepare for battle. Princess Vishna, a character akin to a quest NPC, will gradually guide the progression of the dungeon.